me quickly introduce our guest tonight. Tonight, I have Claudia Chapa with me, and Claudia is one of our awesome realtors at North Texas Top Team. So hi, Claudia.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here tonight.
Absolutely. We're so glad you're here too. You are just so awesome and so sweet. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy night tonight to be here. Now, if you're just joining us tonight, we're about to get started. And Claudia is going to be joining us. And I think, Claudia, before we get started, I think it would be really great if people just got to know you a little bit better. So do you mind telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
No, I'd love to.
Okay.
Well, buenas tardes, Melissa, y a todos que están aquí con nosotros esta tarde. I'm sure if you don't already know, I'm bilingual, and actually my first language was Spanish. I'm from El Paso, Texas, and I'm married with 2 kiddos, 3 pets, and a bunny. So we have a full house. My journey kind of began when I had someone walk me through the process of buying a home, and I realized that I wanted to be able to help others navigate the home buying process. That's when I decided to actually start my real estate career. I became a realtor back in 2017.
Wow.
And for me, real estate, it's just more about helping people and being part of their story. I feel like you get to connect with your clients and hopefully build friendships that last a lifetime. And yeah, it's been a huge privilege to be able to play such a key role in someone's major life decision, like purchasing a home or selling the first home. I just think that it's just really helps us connect on a deeper level when we're coming alongside our clients to do that.
Awesome. I love that. What a cool introduction there. Just kind of like an introduction to your heart. Like, yeah. This is why we do what we do, is to really help people. And it is a big decision, right? It is a big financial thing that you're helping them through. So I know people, I'm sure that when you're working with your clients, they can tell that you really, really care about them, right?
I sure hope so. I definitely do. And you end up being so connected through conversations, through so many different details when they're buying or listing a home. So I feel like you really get to build that connection. And I think that's my favorite part. I love people, and I love building relationships and growing relationships. And being a realtor really allows me to connect with people in that sense and just really deepen those relationships.
Very cool. Well, I love that. Well, I'm so glad people got to know you a little bit more before we get started. And Claudia, tonight we're talking about the things you might forget when you list a home.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for us to get started, because I know while you've been a realtor for a while and you have this heart for helping people, I also know that personally you are going through a move right now. So you probably have a better perspective than most real estate agents about what is a seller really going to go through when they're making their move. I mean, really and truly, you're in it right now. So I guess with that in mind, here's my question, right? My first, like starting us off. What's like the number one concern that a home seller might have as they're gearing up to sell their house?
That's a great question. I would say one of the biggest concerns for me is showings. Because keeping a home organized and clean and stage ready is exhausting. Although we want it to look beautiful, we want it to look presentable when a buyer comes through the door. Living in a stage home, it's a whole vibe. Like, you have to have everything in its right order. You have to make sure you're almost a guest in your own home.
Oh,
And so I really feel that in order to really be successful at that, you just got to create systems for yourself and your family.
That makes total sense. Okay, so you're living in a staged home, you're trying to put your systems together because you've got to like declutter before your showings and all of these things. And you have, how many dogs do you have?
I have 3.
Oh gosh, and a bunny and a family.
Yes.
To
A
keep up
caged
with.
animal is a whole nother part of keeping a house clean, because no matter what you do, you're always wondering, does it smell like a bunny lives here? So I'm really thankful that so far that hasn't been the case. So, but also with a shedding dog, we definitely always have to be sweeping, vacuuming, and mopping right before we get out the door, because not everybody's an animal lover like me. So
Oh.
I most definitely don't want them to walk in and be like, pet her, I'm out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you said something a second ago about like living in a house that doesn't look lived in, or like being a guest in your own home, right? And because you have pets and kids, not only do you have to keep it clean, like, all the time, but specifically right before like any specific showing. So somebody's ready to come, they're coming to your house at 3 p.m. and you're like, it's a mad dash to get out the door. What kind of tips do you have for sellers on doing just that last minute cleaning before they have before there's a showing?
I would say it really starts with preparation of deep cleaning our house once a week. It really takes our whole family to participate in that. And that's because we clean everything, make sure everything's dust free. And for the remainder of the time, we're just constantly picking up after ourselves. We're, always making sure the lawn is mowed, there's no weeds, the beds are made, countertops are clutter free. One of the biggest tips that I think really helps a family is grabbing one large laundry basket. And if you just see all these things on the counter and misplaced, and you're just like, I don't have time to put everything in its proper place, just shove it all in that basket, put it in the garage, in your car before you walk out the door. And, that just at least helps. Just all your things go in one place and you're not doing a mad dash all around the house. I also feel like dividing and conquering right before you get out the door. Make someone be in charge of turning on all the lights. Get someone to get Alexa on and to play, the lo-fi hip hop or something, to have just like some nice ambiance for when people walk into the house. And if you have pets like we do, send one of the kids to do just a little mad dash out in the backyard. Make sure there's no droppings out there that anyone can step on. When you have a large corner lot like we do, we definitely want to showcase that backyard, and nobody wants to step in some mess and bring it into the house either. And we definitely don't want to encounter that when we come back home. So it's just really paying attention to those small details. I think it makes a big difference for the person that's walking into the home, and for you to have some sort of quick, ready to go things to just know that everybody has a role to play. Of course, if you have older children, when you have littles, it's harder. But when everybody's pretty mobile and able to take step-by-step directions, I think it really, really helps to just delegate some of those activities.
Yeah, gosh, I can only imagine how like hectic it is at your house right before a showing. You're like the flight director. You're like, you do this and you do that, and then grab the laundry hamper, which by the way is a great tip. Grab the laundry hamper, throw it full of stuff, and take it out with you so that you just don't even have to worry about it being in the house. I love that. It's got to be crazy though at your house. Is it literally crazy right before you before you have a showing?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a little show getting out of the house. You have kids that don't want to leave, or pets that, are just in different parts of the home. So it definitely is a mad dash to get out of my house. And the summer, I feel like added a whole nother part of chaos, right? Because everybody's comfy, it's hot, nobody wants to leave the house. And it's just one of those elements of surprise when you get a showing and you have an hour to get everything ready and get out the door with your kids, your pets. And when you and your husband both work from home and are conducting Zoom calls and meetings, I feel like that also adds another element, because then you run into the situation that if you're in a crucial meeting that cannot be rescheduled, you're either going to have to suggest a different time and hope that that works for those buyers, or you might have to miss out on having your house shown for that time. And as a seller, that's kind of gut wrenching. You're just kind of like, man, I want to get as many eyes in here as possible. So between pets, kids, and having to be out of the house for extended periods of time with 3 pets, I would say that also adds another challenge, because you just can't go to a movie and say, we're just going to hang here for the next 3 hours and relax, because there's not a lot of movie theaters that are going to let you take your dog with you. But honestly, we have had our friends and family really come alongside us and share that load. They've hosted us for dinners. They've had us over for family and pet play dates. And I'm just very thankful to feel so loved by all of our peeps that have just pitched in. So if you're watching and you're here and you've lent a helping hand to other sellers, or you're my people and you've helped me out, thank you so much. It has meant the world to me. So I definitely will be more conscientious of that when other people are making the move.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially, I mean, yeah, you're talking about like working from home and getting the pets. And I love that you mentioned you can't just go anywhere. You have your dogs with you, and not everywhere has a pet friendly store or pet friendly patio, and you probably don't want to spend every showing walking around at PetSmart, right? Which is, somewhere where you're allowed to take them. But yeah, you can't even go to the movies. Yep. And I know some of my past sellers have said, we're just in the car down the street, and they're just waiting in the car for the showing to happen. And they're like, as soon as the people drive off, they like come back home. Because what else are you going to do when you have all the kids and all the family and all the things? It's just really a stressful time. So I'm really excited that you were able to get some friends and some family to really help you out and have, I love what you call them, people and pet play dates. I think that that's important. Yep. Okay. So I have another thought, because you also mentioned like during the summer, it's harder. So the summer is the peak selling season. That's when everybody wants to list their house and buy a house. And you also mentioned, you can't not allow a showing. I mean, you can, but gosh, it's really, it is to your detriment when you're a seller and you decline a showing. You got to do everything you can to get people in. But now that the kids are going back, you're probably more excited than usual, right? I mean, everybody's back and now we can show the house a little better. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
As much as I love my kids and I love having everyone home under the same roof, and why a big reason why we homeschooled for 3 years is because we love having our family together. But in that specific situation, I think it's really hard. I think it's hard for your kids to understand that they have to live as if they're not in their own home. They have to, if they like to build Legos like mine do, you've got to put all that stuff away. You got to keep your family organized and ready for showings. And so that's hard.
That is hard. Well, so keeping that in mind, do you have any other tips for keeping the family organized and ready for showings? I mean, like you said, you got stuff everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely do. One of my recommendations would be to either create a going out to eat budget if you don't like to have to cook and clean, because I know that sometimes if you have a big family, that can be hard to orchestrate. And if you're also the type of person who are like, Claudia, I hate going out to eat all the time. So I would say meal planning. That's super crucial in making sure that you are having your meals planned out, or you're taking out a freezer meal and putting it in the crock pot, and it's going to be an easy cleanup. You're going to be able to eat it or set it and forget it and then eat it, pick it up, and it's one dish that you just have to either put in the fridge before you take off or just put in the dishwasher very easily. We've leaned on our air fryer a lot for that, just because it cooks things so quickly, and for use of time and cleanup. So that would be one of my recommendations.
Totally makes sense. It's a great tip. At my house, my husband would be like, let's just buy paper plates too, so we don't even have dishes. Like that would be what he would be doing.
And like plastic utensils for sure. We have had a lot more of that around here. So a little bit of those two combinations have been our go-tos, because that's what we've done to kind of keep also ourselves occupied for open houses. It's like, we'll go grab a meal, we'll go hang out, we'll have everyone in the car, then we'll come back when it's all over and done with.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I like your tip. Like, that's a really good tip about just meal planning and prepping and using the air fryer and using the crock pot, especially the crock pot, because, another thing that is important when you're showing your house is that it not only look nice, but it smells nice. And, we cook with a lot of garlic, a lot of onions, a lot of things like that. And first of all, your house smells like food when you're cooking. And then second of all, you've got, trash that you're throwing away. And if you're not meal prepping and doing that early or at a time when there's not going to be showings, maybe you're just doing it late in the evening, but doing it earlier before, a peak showing time, maybe, I really think that that's important to consider using those tips and tricks like you're talking about, because you've got to get the house clean. You have all these last minute things. You've got to be organized. You got to do the food prep. Like, there's just a lot of things to do, right?
Definitely. And those smells can really linger. I like to make a Spanish dish called migas, and it has onions and it has, fried tortilla chips with eggs, and it's a really like little mixed concoction, and it will make your house stink for, I would say, majority of the day. If not, just because of the oil and all the things you saute for a while. So I was thankful that one day I did not have showings, because that would have not been great.
Yeah, I totally get that. Well, so let me ask you another question. So I'm gearing up to sell my house. I'm doing all the things. I'm using the tips. I'm using the laundry basket tip. I'm using the crock pot tip and the organizing tips. What other things should a seller maybe consider before they ever get the house listed to help make it easier, so that when they are on the market and they do get showings, it just makes it easier for their whole process? Do you have any tips for before we even get here?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just starting to figure out and strategizing your systems. What systems are you going to use to stay organized, to keep things clutter free? I really leaned on caddies and clear bins and things that could just be easily put away, so that my counters were free of all the clutter. Us girls, we got jewelry, we got makeup, we got hair things. And I felt that transparent bins were really helpful to be able to see what we have and what we need, and we can easily take it out, use that bin to get ready, and then put it underneath the sink when we're done using it. So one, it kind of starts building a really great routine for always kind of keeping your home clean. And another aspect of it is just to make sure you're not leaving things out and you're having to stress out that the house is a wreck before you have a showing. The shower caddy trick is another one. I put all of the products in there so that when everyone's done showering, whoever the last person showered can put everything in that caddy, put it underneath the sink, and now your shower is also show ready. So even to those small little details, putting your towels in the dryer so that they're not just hanging. And it sounds extreme, but tidying up is crucial for showings and having your house ready. People want to envision themselves in your home.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I kind of like what you said about, like, okay, it kind of also preps you and trains you to do that for when you get moved. Because you know what's funny is even in my bathroom, I have a little area where I get ready. And even though I'm not selling my house, I have my hairbrush and my curling iron and everything like in a bin inside of a cabinet. And then next to it, I have my makeup. So every day I just pull out one bin and I get ready, and then I put that bin back, and then I pull out the other bin and I get ready, and then I put it back. So I love it that like these are not just tips for when you're selling, you can use them when you're at home and you just live there.
Yeah, it
So-
really does help.
Wait, say that again.
I said it really does help to just kind of stay on top of your chores.
Yeah, yeah, and I like my countertop kind of clean off, I don't like a lot of clutter personally, so I'm with you. Well, so what other tips do you maybe have? Well, or maybe you don't even have any, I don't know. Do you have any other tips for a seller for something that they could do even before they list a house? Like before we get to this place where we're gonna have to have all of our ducks in a row, what other thing besides maybe bins and getting that and kind of getting organized? What else do you think?
Simplify and packing.
Oh.
You want to go through probably every room and pack it up. Take all your personal items out that you cherish, because less is more. When you go into a model home, you see how everything is so neatly staged and it's so aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of the same concept when you have your home for sale. People want to envision themselves in it, and by packing every room and decluttering it and putting and staging it so that it flows and you're not obstructing a window if the light really shines well through it, or whatever it may be, it sets you up for success for pictures. I feel like if you take one room at a time, it's not so overwhelming. And it also helps you just get ready for picture day. So if you're already decluttering and moving everything out of the way, by the time when your photography appointment is, your house is ready to go. You've already packed, you've already said room, master or master suite, or, kids room, or whatever it may be. You have a box in the garage ready to go. And then not only will that help for before listing, but that will also help you when you're starting to get ready to hire movers or get a pod and put those boxes in there. You already know what you need for the day-to-day and what you don't need. And that's why I keep going back to those systems and that simplifying and packing and containers, because when you know where your things are, you're not rummaging. You're like, where's that one box? Oh man, I don't know where that is. And I've done that. So now I'm just like, okay, how can we make this a little bit easier so people aren't going to go through what I'm going through? So I would definitely say pack your old seasonal clothes, extra blankets, toys, books. I mean, you name it. If you don't need it, don't have it out on display.
Yeah, you're going to take it with you anyway.
Yeah. Might as well already put it away.
Well, I think so many times when people think about getting their house ready for sale, they think about staging. And I think when they think about staging, they just think, pretty throw pillows or some books on the coffee table or whatever. But I think you had a really good point. You said less is more, because it's not really about what you add. A lot of times it's about what you take away. And so you're going to move this stuff anyway. You might as well pack it up, get it packed up in advance, put it out in the garage, and, have less is more, like you said. But while we're on the subject of packing, do you have any tips for packing? Maybe even, I don't know if it would be a tip for packing just to get ready for staging, like getting the house ready, or maybe a tip for packing for your actual move. Do you have any packing tips?
Sure. I would say label your boxes for each room. You can either do that by doing a number system. I've seen plenty of people do that and number each room. And then, or you can also color code it with packing tape. So if you have a very girly girl like we do, she loves pink and purple. You could do pink or purple, or maybe both. For, Isaac and I are pretty neutral. We could have like black or gray. My son likes red. So whatever it is that, it will stand out to you and your family. And that way you can, have a note. So if you do hire movers, that you have those boxes designated for each area in the home. So when you're getting ready to unpack, you know exactly where you're putting everything. So it's also a little less overwhelming. Moving's a lot. And the more organized you are and the better your systems are, I think it'll allow for you to breathe a little easier, be a little less stressed out, and just be able to just tackle one thing at a time.
Yeah, and being stressed out, I mean, the whole moving process is stressful. The whole home selling process is stressful. So great tips to help somebody just minimize some of that if they can.
Definitely, whatever
Yeah.
I can do.
Well, okay, so we've had really good tips so far. I mean, you had a lot of good stuff here today about just getting the house ready to show. And now that we're kind of on this moving topic, I'm wondering if, like in preparation for the move, another thing that a seller is really going to want to know about is the home selling process. So can we just talk for a moment about the actual home selling process from your perspective as a seller, not from your perspective as a real estate agent, because it's a little bit different, right? When we're trying to help somebody as an agent than when we're actually going through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I've had the pleasure of being represented by you. So that's been super helpful throughout the process. You would think that as a realtor, well, why wouldn't you do it yourself? Well, you have to kind of remove yourself from that really emotional process. Not only is it stressful to get ready for it, it's also an emotional transaction. This is where you built your family, or this is where, you brought your first baby home, or you built a life together with your loved ones, whatever it may be. You need someone in a team of professionals to advocate for you and your best interests, and to be able to negotiate on your behalf so that you're not emotionally attached to these things, and you're being unreasonable and not objective. And I have been very, very fortunate to be talked to in that sense as a seller, and be reminded of what the market is doing, what the stats are, what days on market look like for my specific neighborhood, and be able to have the big picture. So on top of moving, the last thing you want to have to do is negotiate for yourself, right? Or when someone says, oh man, I really don't like that color that they did in the room. Are they going to change that? And you're like, I did it. You really loved it. Sorry. It's just weird. It's a big reason why we tell people why it's so important to be represented by us, and to kind of follow our own advice has been super humbling and also helpful. And it's truly allowed me to see the value in what we do for people, because you're doing it for me and you're doing it for my family, and you're invested in my best interest and representing me in my home, and being able to be a master negotiator and to be competent in the area that I am in to represent me. And I think that is so crucial as a professional in the industry, to also receive that level of care and to see it, because we want to give that to our clients, right? As realtors, we know exactly how to advocate for them. But when you have that being done for you, you're just like, my girl. I'm like, yeah. So thank you for doing that. That has been, I would say, like I said, just a humbling experience to really know why we hire a real estate professional to list our home, to educate us in the process and to walk us through it and to do all the ins and outs while we're already so consumed by so many moving parts in the moving process. So thank you for doing such an extraordinary job for our family.
Absolutely. I'm super excited we're getting to go through this together, but it's hard, like you said, and it's emotional. I love that you brought up some of the emotional points because it is a hard process to go through, not because moving's hard, although moving is hard, and not because it's hard to be organized for showings, although that's a real pain, but it is really emotional. Most of the time when people sell their home, like you said, it could be like, this is the home that we raised my family here and we have roots here. And that really makes it hard sometimes, I think. So yeah, I'm glad I'm getting to go through it with you.
Yeah, it's been great.
So how about, I'm just kind of going through my head, like through the whole process, right? So we sort of started off like getting the house ready for sale. And then we talked about, going through the showing process, like showing the house. And now we're talking about negotiating. But what about when you get under contract? So now you've negotiated a contract, you've got a buyer, they're ready to buy the house, you're ready to sell the house. You're thinking, whew, no more keeping the house clean, but that's not really true. You still got to keep it clean. So what advice do you have for a home seller for now that we're under contract? What would that advice look like?
I would say you don't want to get emotional, about the home inspection results. You want to stay realistic and reasonable. It's important to get a reputable company, a home warranty company to service you while you're under contract in case anything were to arise. And then you also want to think about purchasing that for your buyer. And the reason I say that is because you want that same protection as a seller. So it seems that only right to want to give that same courtesy to your potential buyer. And whether you're having some contributions towards it, a lot of the times it just kind of helps take that pressure off of you, as the homeowner, with all of the things that might come up in inspection, that maybe are not an issue now and you don't need to be worried about, but knowing that you've done something to anticipate that kind of just makes you feel like you're handing over a good product and in good faith to give the home over to a potential buyer that, knows that you have the best intention to hand over a good product.
Yeah. Well, and it's important for them when they're buying it to feel like they have that protection. So I'm really glad that you mentioned it because I think it can be hard for a seller when a buyer starts, asking for repairs and then they want this and then they want that. And when you can say, hey, first of all, we're not going to be emotional about the repairs that they ask for. But second of all, let's give them a level of comfort through a home warranty. I think that's a great idea.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I know I appreciated it when I bought this home back in 2013.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I think that, all homes have a little bit wrong with it. Maybe not new construction, right? New construction, you can go back to the builder and just be like, nope, I need this and this has to be perfect. But on a resale home, most resale homes have things that you probably don't even know are wrong as a seller because it's not that big of a deal, until somebody reveals it. It's like, man, this thing is a potential problem, or maybe it already is a problem. And I think some buyers are more worried about certain things than other buyers.
Yeah.
Sometimes plumbing is a big deal to one buyer and it's not a big deal to the next, or electrical. And sometimes that's their comfort level, but sometimes it's maybe who they know and they know a plumber. And so it's not a big deal because my uncle's a plumber or whatever. I just think there's so much to that with regards to knowing that your house is going to have some things wrong. And so don't freak out when the buyer does come back and ask for some things. Do you agree with that?
I do agree.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, well, so we've spent most of our time talking about ways to help a home seller, and I would love to just chat for just a second with the realtors that are out there. So if there's a realtor out there and you're watching or you're listening, I think personally, here's what I think. I think many real estate agents would probably haven't moved for a while. we've just been in our same place for a long time. And heck, I know there are some real estate agents that have bought a house, but have never even sold a house on their own, right? Like a personal house. They've sold lots of houses, but not their own home. And I think that, sellers might have some advice for agents so that we could be better as we're helping them go through this experience. And so you're looking at both sides of the fence because you're selling and you're a realtor. So with that in mind, what would your top tip be from a seller to an agent if you were giving some advice to your realtor? What would that be?
You're probably already going to know just because I always ask you. Feedback. Oh my gosh. Feedback, y'all. It's so important. I know we all get busy, and I really feel like that's how we can really super serve our clients and people on the other side of the transaction, and our colleagues, which we're all colleagues in this professional setting as realtors. Our sellers want feedback. They want to know if they can overcome any of your buyer's objections. We want to know if the house was pleasing to y'all when you walked in. Did it feel clean? Was it show ready? And I just feel that it's also a level of professionalism that we owe to each other, to just take that time to inform each other and our sellers if your client's interested or not, and why they are interested in bringing maybe an offer, or why they're not, and why they maybe passed on that house. Is it because of new construction? Is it because simply they're just not sure on the area they're focusing, so they're just kind of browsing? It just kind of helps really gauge where most of the people that are coming through the house are thinking. And if there's an ongoing pattern, the seller can say, okay, this would make sense why we're still on the market. Or, okay, well, maybe I'll change that. Or if something like that you can't change because all the bedrooms are upstairs or something like that, right? You're just like, okay, well, people want their privacy, and maybe that's why it's taking a little longer. So there's very many different reasons, but I think if we take a little bit of our time and just provide that feedback, I think we'll be doing each other a huge favor along with our clients.
Yeah, it's a professional courtesy for sure. And we should provide feedback after any showing that we do. I agree, 100%. 100%. All right. Well, Claudia, it's been amazing talking to you tonight, but it is about time for us to wrap up for today. But I am so thankful that you were just able to share some great information from your heart tonight. And I feel like everybody who's listening tonight at least learned something from our chat. So I'm super thankful that you were here. So thanks for doing that.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really had a great time.
Oh, me too. I had a great time talking with you, just learning all of the thoughts from your perspective going through it. And, I always love talking about all things real estate. So the last thing that I think we should do real quick tonight is we're going to post some information. I'm going to put a link in the comments for later. And if you are considering buying or selling a home, if you're watching our Facebook Live tonight, check the comments, because there's going to be a link in there for you to be able to get some free information about buying and selling a home. And I think that'll be super important for everybody tonight. So thanks everybody for joining us. We are super excited that you were here. And if you want any other information about the real estate market, or really what's just going on in this area, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, contact Claudia or contact anyone on our team. We'll give you a free market update. We'll give you lots of great information. And don't forget to check out our link where you can get that free report. And of course, if you ever want more information or you want to stay up to date on what's happening, please make sure that you like us, that you follow us, that you subscribe to our channels. You can find us on all the social media channels, and you can check us out online. You can even give our office a call. Our team, our whole team is here to help you with all things real estate. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. We are super excited, and I'm actually going to put a little screen share on real quick so everybody knows how to get in touch with you, Claudia. And let's see what we got. Oh, there it is. It's got your contact information there. So if you need to reach out to Claudia, you have her phone number right here. You've got a way to reach us on social media, and we are here to help with all things real estate. So thanks again, Claudia. I super, super appreciate you tonight.
Absolutely. Me too. Thank you so much for all of your great questions. And I hope this was helpful to everyone tuning in tonight. I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Absolutely. All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.